They look to turn things around in 2024, yet they will have to do that without Shohei Ohtani after he left, after the Angels put up a 73 and 89 record in 2023, leading to him eventually leaving in free agency and heading to the, I guess you could say, crosstown rivals, except the Angels are in Anaheim and not Los Angeles, but that's besides the point. No more Shohei Ohtani for this Angels organization, and they will have to move on without him anymore in the fold. So what does 2024 have to offer for the Angels? Well, we're going to find out. We're going to cover it right here. My name is Derek. I'm here with Mike. You're watching Bleacher Brawls, and this is the 2024 Angels team profile. First things first, we're going to talk about the Angels. We're going to talk about some key players. I'll hand it over to Mike first. Who are three key players for this Angels team, and who do you think will have a big impact on the Angels in 2024?
So I'm going to go with Mike Trout, first things first. And I think my second two players are going to go with Reed Detmers and Nolan Chanel. Shanuel.
A bit of a hard name to say.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think everything I've kind of read about the Angels, man, is I think they view this kid, Nolan Shanuel, as kind of their next big thing. I know he's there to replace the first baseman that just left, who we said, Jared Walsh. I read an article actually today or yesterday that, basically Shanuel is expected to make Angels fans forget that Walsh left. That's big shoes to fill, I know. Obviously, I think the main thing is you don't have Show anymore, so the expectations are a lot further down. And I think it's Mike Trout's kind of just place to be, talked about by baseball gods and yet never win anything. So, yeah, I think those are the three guys that they look forward to.
Yeah, obviously Jim Trout's big. I'm gonna bring up the name Zach Neto. Also Logan O'Hoppe. I love me some Patrick Sandoval too, so I'm gonna throw him out there. I think O'Hoppe will be big, but I do want to talk about Reed Detmers. Detmers is kind of, he's kind of the big young piece for this Angels rotation. In 2022, 25 starts, a 3.77 ERA. Last year he had a 4.48 ERA, but in 28 starts, pitched about 20 more innings or so. He's kind of the young anchor of this rotation. I would argue he's their best starting pitcher, and for that, considering he's still very young. He's only 24 years old. This will be his age 24 season. I think for Reed Detmers and the Angels, I don't think he's an ace, but I think he's a very nice starter to have. He's very solid, and I think he could turn into be a very solid two-starter. I'm not sure about ace, but you still never know. He could very much break out. But I think he will, at the very least, will be a very solid number two starter for the Angels long term. It's just, with the Angels, we don't really know what the long term plans are in the hold. But I think Detmers will be a big part of that. He'll stick around for a long time, has some team control, obviously, because he is young. And I think he'll play a big part of the Angels now and, long term in the future. I think he'll be a big part of the Angels organization. Moving on to offseason signings, or offseason moves in general. And we talk about signings. It felt like they signed every reliever on the free agent market. They signed Matt Moore to a one-year deal. They signed Robert Stevenson to a 3-year deal. Luis Garcia, another reliever, to a one-year deal. Adam Simber, another reliever, to a one-year deal. Jose Cisnero, another reliever, to a one-year deal. They signed Aaron Hicks, a Yankees fan's old friend. They did lose Shohei Ohtani, though. I think that was kind of the big headline, though, outside of those guys that they signed. So I hand it over to Mike. I think I know which one you're going to go for which move has kind of the biggest effect on this Angels team.
Yeah, I will say we Yankees fans do not think Aaron Hicks is our friend by any means. He was a couple years ago, but not anymore. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest move or biggest impact we're going to see is no Shohei. We're talking about arguably the best dude that's ever played in the game of baseball. So I think that's going to be a huge thing. I think the expectations that come with him, while they're going to drop for the Angels, I think no one's expecting the Angels to do anything important this year. It's just going to really increasingly grow, make that fan base pull their hair out even more. So I think the biggest thing to see is regression in all facets. Can they be, can they put them together another wins? Do they still have Mike Trout? Yes. That's great for selling jerseys, not great for winning ball games. So I don't know, man. I don't expect much from them, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a bit rough for the Angels. The losing Ohtani, especially for Angels fans, that's a rough one, especially considering it's to the Dodgers as well. That's not a good one for the Angels fans. I do want to talk a little bit though about them acquiring Robert Stevenson, signing him. Last year started out the year with Pittsburgh, 18 appearances, 14 innings, a 5.14 ERA, and you're looking like, ooh, it's a little bit rough. Why they sign him to a 3-year deal for $33 million? Well, take a look at his numbers with the Rays. After he went to the Rays, he made 42 appearances, 38 and a third innings. He had a 43% strikeout rate with the Rays and just a 5.7% walk rate compared to 28% strikeout rate and 13% walk rate with the Pirates. So massive differences in K rate and walk rate. And that resulted in a 2.35 ERA with the Rays. He also had a 2.45 FIP and a 1.78 SIERA, which is really good. Overall, just stellar with the Rays. They put a 1.1 F4 with the Rays over those 42 appearances as a reliever. That's very, very solid. And Stevenson, I think he showed with the Rays that he can be a legit, back-end reliever setup man type. And I think that's what the Angels are going to hope for him. They obviously have Carlos Estevez seemingly kind of locked in the closer role. Although I wouldn't be shocked to see Stevenson get some save opportunities, but Estevez had 31 saves last year. Heading into this year, Estevez will likely close again. And then you'll probably see a mix of Stevenson and Matt Moore, who is an Angel again. They brought him back on a 1-year deal. They also have signed Luis Garcia, Simber, Cisnero, like I said earlier. There's a lot of new relievers, 5 relievers that they signed as free agents. It's a lot. But you could argue their bullpen needed it. The Angels are going to be interesting, but I think Stevenson will play a big role in the bullpen, especially considering that it kind of gives them a little bit of a 1-2 punch in the back end. You can roll out Stevenson in the 8th, and then Estevez follow him in the 9th. And I think that's pretty solid. Is it, amazing? No, it's not amazing, but you can do a lot worse than that. So I think overall, I think the Angels will like that and like that mix in the back end of their bullpen. Moving on to expectations, though, for the Angels. It's interesting. I'll hand it over to Mike first. What expectations do you have on this Angels team, or what do you think their internal expectations will be?
I think it has to be, some sort of a rebuild year, right? If you really ask me what I think this team needs, is I think this team needs a complete and total, wash. I think you find the best deal you can get for Mike Trout. I think you just pretty much start over. When you lose a piece like Shohei Ohtani, especially you touched on 2-year cross down, pretty much rivals, I think that's going to make a bigger impact on your team than you think it's not. When Shohei Ohtani's up for MVPs and all this stuff as we expect him or has been in the past, this is gonna we're not gonna forget where he came from, and we're not gonna forget the team they try to build around him. During the years he was there. Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani is gonna have they even played a playoff game together yet or ever? So that's gonna be one of the biggest failures I think in one of close to baseball history, is you couldn't produce something with the talent that they had with those two guys. So I didn't expect anything when they had Shohei. I'm sure as heck not going to expect anything when they don't. My opinion is just to literally start over.
I think they're in a weird situation. I mean, you could say I don't see it happening. Obviously, I think they're never trading Trout at this point. I think their expectation for them is they're just gonna be mid. They're just gonna be straight just mid. But at the same time, I think the expectation also they're gonna want to see growth from some of their young talent, Mickey Moniak, Logan O'Hoppe, who hopefully he'll be able to stay healthy, because when that little bit he was healthy, he looked really good. Nolan Schanuel, like you said, Zach Neto as well, Joe Adell, maybe he can find his path in the big leagues. Chase Silseth, Reed Detmers, et cetera, right? I think that's kind of what the Angels are going to be looking for this year, kind of seeing which of these young players can really be a part of their future and which ones aren't. I think that's kind of going to be weeding that out a little bit this year. It sucks for the Angels fans too, because it's they get Ohtani and Trout, and then they bring in Rendon, and then eventually Rendon's just I don't want to play baseball anymore. Pretty much, it's it sucks for Angels fans. It really does. I feel bad for the legit Angels fans who have to deal with that and deal with Rendon. That's gonna suck. It's also rough. Angels management. It sounds so cruel to say, but they shot themselves in the foot last at the deadline, terribly, stupidly, because they traded some of their top prospects for Lucas Giolito and and Ronaldo Lopez and whatnot, and just doesn't work, right? And just and the fact that you trade some of your top prospects for rentals when you weren't that close to a wild card spot just because it's like, oh, it's our last shot with Shohei. And it's like, you could have just traded Shohei and gotten stuff back and built for the future and made yourself, have a young, fun, and exciting team. But instead, now they're still stuck in Angel Land, which is Nowheresville, pretty much. So, I feel bad for Angels fans. I really do. Because I feel like Angels fans deserve more, especially, loyal Angels fans. Because it's like, you have all this talent and nothing. So it sucks. But on the bright side, Angels fans, at least you get to watch Mike Trout, because I would love to see Mike Trout play. I've never gotten to see him play live, so I am a little bit jealous of that. At least you get to see Mike Trout, who is probably the greatest baseball player of this generation. So at least you have that at the very least. But I think that's a good place to kind of wrap things up here. So make sure to check out all our other team profiles. This is part of our 40 videos in 40 days. Make sure to check out all our links in the description. And for Mike, my name is Derek. Thanks for tuning in to Bleacher Brawls and this Los Angeles Angels team profile, and we will see you next time.